Are Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell a match made in heaven?
Was there a familiar face from Bad Monkey?
Which bride will have the happily ever after?
Is this comedy actually worth watching?
Back to film. Red and Red Real Reviews cordially invites you to one mega collab on Amazon Prime.
Ahoy, ladies! I didn't see you there. Would you guys like to set sail on this ocean of flavor?
Randall, look at eye contact. You're gonna be cool, right? Oh, baby, I'm as cool as the other side of the pillow.
Been staring at this board for days.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
Act. Bears eat beets.
My brain is on fire. I'm dying.
I am the one who knocks.
Bears beets. Battlestar Galactica.
When they say 2% milk, I don't know what the other 98% is.
It's hard to believe we're even the same species.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Oh my god. The microchip has been compromised.
Dracarys.
Welcome back, Red and Red Real Reviews, and here we are, another movie. It's been a while, other than our little award show stuff, and this features two monster stars together for the first time. And we gotta tell our audience, should they watch it?
Well, I think it was generally a cute movie. And at first, when I opened up Prime Video to watch it, I saw that it had 2.5 stars. And I was like, ooh. I was like, this is going to be brutal, or people are being unnecessarily harsh. I kind of think it's the latter. I think people were being a little too harsh. We were just talking about Oscar movies. Like, yes, we know this is not Oscar worthy. We know it's not Golden Globe worthy, but it was lighthearted, and in my opinion, it was worth watching.
I feel like people build up something in their head because they think of Will Ferrell, they think of Elf, they think of Talladega Nights. They have, a positive connotation to him. Mm-hmm. And with Reese Witherspoon, they probably think of Legally Blonde first and foremost. Yes. So there's probably a positive connotation and maybe a cult following to that as well. So people kind of build up an image like they see these actors that they have very fond memories of, and it's just kind of like what do you expect? It was just a cheesy rom-com. I mean, it was a cute movie. I enjoyed it, but that's what it was.
Yeah, it's it's not going to be something that's like groundbreaking or anything. And I mean, if I had to give it a 1 through 10 score, I would probably put it at maybe like a 6.5 or 7.
Yeah, I mean, at most, I might bump it up to 7.3 because I did laugh a fair amount. But I mean, I think seven's completely reasonable for this, and a 7 out of 10 is what out of 5? 3 3/4.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't say it was like outstanding. I wouldn't say it was terrible. But yeah, I was kind of like, okay. That's generally how I felt about it.
Yeah, and the one thing I also kind of liked about it was the fact that it felt like it wasn't just this superstar fiesta between Ferrell and Witherspoon. Like, it felt like they were giving equal screen time to their co-stars.
Yeah, I felt like they were both kind of the stars of it, which like the dual stars of it. So that was kind of nice that we didn't get like a primarily Reese Witherspoon led movie. We didn't get a primarily Will Ferrell led movie.
And that doesn't often, I feel like that doesn't often happen when you've got two alpha stars. I feel like it's usually like a 60-40 thing. Like, one of them feels like more of the lead than the other. And I would agree with that. It didn't feel like one was heavily favored over the other.
No, they were both pretty equal in the storyline, which made it. Yeah, I just felt like, they were kind of marketing it as a straight up comedy, not really a rom-com. And I think that, I would, not that I would compare it because it wasn't as legendary as something like Wedding Crashers, but there was something about it. I mean, obviously same topic, weddings, but there was something about it that made me think of Wedding Crashers, and I'm not sure what it was. I think it was just like the tone of the humor.
It was an accidental wedding crash.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so we're going to get into the nitty gritty right here. We will let you know the hook at the end. So if you haven't watched it yet, hit a pause button and come back and visit us in a couple hours whenever you watch the movie. So let's get into some details. And like you said, perfect segue. I suppose it's a comedy, even though it kind of feels like a more dramatized one. So, what were your kind of favorite laugh out loud moments?
Oh man. So there were a couple moments that made me laugh out loud. I probably would say the two that really got me were first of all when both families arrive at the inn and they're kind of arguing, they realize the mistake that they're both supposed to get married the same day and that there's a double booking. So the first, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of the movie, they're setting up Jim to, Will Ferrell's character to be this like doting father, and he lives for his daughter, and the opening sequence was him vacuuming and cooking and doing all these like homemaker things, and just the setting him up to be like a sweet guy. And the moments that I found that Will Ferrell was the most funny in this movie were when he was like totally unhinged. So
yeah,
the first moment where we kind of, well, it wasn't the very first moment. I would say the first moment is when his daughter told him she was engaged, and he was like, kind of flipped out a little bit. But the first real moment where we saw like the Will Ferrell from other movies would be when he's kind of fighting with Reese Witherspoon's character Margot, and he goes, "If I look out on that dock and that bride's not my baby girl, that bride's going in the fucking lake, okay? Splish splash, bitch, taking a bath." Yeah, I was like, when he was like when he has these lines where he gets in people's faces and he's like, like he gets all like sassy, that's when he's the most funny.
Right. And I mean that the unhinged Will Ferrell is kind of like a throwback to his like old school
Or the other guy, was it? No, not the other guys.
the other one I was thinking of was when he's running around on fire in Talladega Nights. The stop, drop, and roll scene. Like I kind of think of when he's just like flying off the handle. The other guys had one too, but I want to save that for a little later because it was something I was really hoping would happen.
I think you had it down too. The other moment where I laughed out loud. So I kind of remembered the reason why I thought of the Wedding Crashers comparison is because there's things kind of happening. Like even if somebody says a line, if you kind of like look in the background at the other characters that are non-speaking, you'll see that like there are things going on. And what I noticed in this was a funny part just from start to finish. The part where the pastor walks in for Nev, who is Margot's sister, and it's Pastor Luther, who is Nick Jonas. And so he just shows up as this douchey pastor. And it makes it even funnier that he starts singing Creed. Doesn't he start singing with Arms Wide Open?
Yeah.
And so not only does he start singing Creed, which makes it even funnier, but the thing that made me laugh out loud was that Jim, Will Ferrell, is watching Pastor Luther sing Creed, and he's just watching, and he's just like, he's like shuddering because he's like, this is so cringy and awful. So just his, like Will Ferrell's like reaction, he didn't even have to say anything to that whole scene was what made me laugh out loud.
It's probably like the whole internet joke of like, cringe Nickelback, Coldplay, where people make fun of the quality of their music. So it was, and I think that was they kind of set up because when Pastor Luther approaches and everybody's walking by and all the women in the crowd are
Yeah.
swooning, they're all like half eye fucking him or whatever, and he gets up there, he starts singing Creed, and it's like instantly image shattered.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Another one I liked was when they're checking into the hotel, and they're like, "This is my weekend. No, this is my weekend." And he pulls out, I don't know what he pulled, like a scratch
Oh
thing
yeah.
to reveal
No, it was
indentations in
it was a
paper.
pencil. Yeah, he was making like because the old lady had like
Yeah,
she's like I need another pen. My pen's running out. So she
yeah, and
had
then she
like
broke.
carved it into the paper.
Yeah, so he's like scrunching it, and then of course that reveals like the indentation of her pen.
Right.
And Mark goes like, "What is this David Copperfield shit?" And I think I assume it was Nev, and Nev looks like it's Nana's ghost haunting us.
I remember that part. I don't remember the David Copperfield shit thing,
Yeah,
but yeah, that was funny when he was like he had an idea and he just scratched it off.
yeah. It's like, well, and Jim has kind of this sense of like he's the uber prepared father or the uber prepared
Resourceful.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, very resourceful. So it's kind of like, of course, he's got this chalk thing that'll reveal hidden writing. You know.
He's like the MacGyver of fathers. Like he can
Yeah.
do it all. Like the fact that he was doing his daughter's hair and then, Margot comes in and he's like, "Oh, I could do yours." And he's like, "You could be up next or something." And she's like, "No, that's fine." And then he goes, "I love your bangs, by the way. Super cute."
Yeah. Another thing I liked was the siblings. They have this combative relationship throughout most
Mm.
of the film. Um, and when Margot starts getting into her head that Jim sabotaged Nev's wedding, and they have this like coming together, they all put their fists in their chaos monkey, and I'm like, the fuck is a chaos monkey? Who thinks up this shit?
I feel like I've heard that phrase.
It's you know what it reminds me of? There was an episode from Third Rock from the Sun where Harry, French Stewart's character, he gets his hands on a sock puppet. And so he's running around the house, he's just like jumps in, sock monkey, and then he runs away. That's the only thing that it reminded me of.
Yeah, so random.
But then of course, then the second half of that is they try to sabotage Jenny's reception, and they walk in dressed as the zebra character from one of Margot's shows, and everyone's freaking
It's
out.
like a
And
Masked Singer ripoff.
Mhm.
Like it's like a fictional
Oh,
Masked Singer.
oh, well, I would have missed that because I never watched that show.
I've never watched that show either, but I just know of it. I've seen like a couple videos on Facebook where it shows the reveal, the big reveal, like the real
Oh,
Masked Singer. But yeah, it's just the same kind of thing.
okay. So when he runs out and they're like, "That's zebra so and so, that's zebra so and so," and of course Jim's thinking, no, it's not. He goes like, "That was not zebra from whatever the fuck it was. It was sister from the other bride's wedding."
Yeah, I remember that moment.
Um. Oh, and I thought this was a little bit of IRL comedy is when Jim at the end when Jim's trying to reconcile Jenny and Oliver's relationship, he sees their TikTok breakup, and he goes to the hotel or whatever, and the bridesmaids are barricading the elevator. It's like, Jesus, don't you guys have jobs? They say, no, this economy's terrible.
Ain't that true? Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole TikTok breakup thing, they were like, "Oh, we didn't really break up." Like I was kind of laughing at that because I feel like I've seen influencers kind of dramatize things, in TikToks to make things seem a certain way when that's not really how they are.
When he's watching, he's like, they're oddly aware of where the camera is. And
That was a funny call out to like internet culture and TikTok culture.
yeah, and he I think he even said he said he was surprised Oliver was still there. And it's like, we just posted the video 2 hours. I didn't even have enough time to pack. The only other, and then of course the only other thing that I wrote down was, well, I wrote down a lot, but for the purposes of our discussion, was at the end when Margot and Jim are, kind of realizing they have feelings for each other, and she's like, "Do you even have a job?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm the CEO of Delta Airlines." And she's like, "I thought you were like a hairdresser." Like she didn't even envision this super cutesy, resourceful, do-it-all dad as like a mega millionaire.
Yeah, what that's the unsuspecting part of it. I mean, there was one other part where it was pretty creative. Like I liked how, when it starts raining and they have to move the wedding inside, how Jim is doing like a toast and he literally names every member of Margot's family and she people that she doesn't even know. I thought that was pretty funny. The fact that, and then he's like, I forget what the mother, Flora or something, the mother's name. He's like, Flora, you're just a real, he was giving this emotional speech to Margot's mother and she's like, what the hell? Like, when did she ever talk to him? And he was just really, really personable in a way that she wasn't. And then there's a part where it might have been when he's doing her hair, Jim's doing his daughter's hair. And then at one point, a makeup artist walks in that's going to work on Margot or something. And someone says, or maybe the makeup artist says that, oh yeah, I worked on Marvel movies or something. So they make some reference to that. And then later, it might be when the dock collapses and, at sunset and they all go in the water and stuff. And then you see one of the kids, one of the cousins or nephews in the family, he has total, he looks kind of like a lizard. He has lizard face paint on his face. And then they show him in the water and one older lady is like, oh no, there's an alligator. And she's freaking out. The fact that this kid with the face paint is she thinks he's an alligator. I was dying.
One may say that was foreshadowing.
Yes. Total foreshadowing for the alligator part.
Yeah. We'll get to that in a moment. And this is comedy, but there was some heartfelt stuff too. It wasn't a, kind of raunchy, do nothing but laugh hysterically type of thing. So what kind of things kind of tugged at your heartstrings a little bit?
I think just, one of the moments was Nev's fiance. They talk shit about him being a stripper basically, he's a Chippendales dancer. I'm sorry. Yeah. He's a Chippendales dancer. And so, obviously, Nev is pregnant. They don't want to reveal that to Margot's family. And, for being a Chippendales dancer, he's a very moral kind of guy. He's just I want to tell the family, I want to, and then when they realize that, they've double booked the inn, he feels bad. He's like, you guys want to do this? You guys are being shitty, for insisting on having this wedding, when they also claimed the spot rightfully too,
yeah,
so he was kind of the moral one out of it. And then there was that whole struggle with Nev just kind of being well, I don't want to hear shit from my mom about how he's not good enough and all this stuff. And then by the end, she just kind of is just whatever, this is how we are. And this is I'm just accepting that. And I don't care what anyone else thinks.
Yeah. And I think and I thought it was funny because there, of course, there's a scene where, after the alligator fight and Margot's injured and he has his little first aid thing to kind of make sure she's okay. And then he says oh, that wasn't necessary, but it was really cool, right? So it's that stand-up guy Dixon has that kind of stand-up guy mentality because he rushes in to save the day to make sure Margot's okay, and then of course, it kind of turns into a punchline. It's like, oh, you didn't really need that.
Yeah. And there were so many moments where like he was about to like get into like a strip dance and she's like, oh, thank God, because someone would interrupt, he'd be like ready to do a dance or ready to do some like Chippendales thing, and it was just conveniently avoided.
He's always ready to be a good guy, and he's always ready for a striptease.
Yeah. But two things can be true.
Yeah. One might say he's every woman's dream. I don't know. One thing that I thought stood out, and it was kind of like maybe it was designed to be the scene where Reese Witherspoon showed off her acting chops in an otherwise silly, funny film,
Yeah.
is when Jim confronts her of like, you don't really want this wedding to go right because you don't have this great relationship with your family. Once your sister's married and off doing her own thing and raising her family, guess what? You're going to be just like me after my daughter leaves, and you're going to be alone. And it's like the look on her face after that, she just went like from silly comedy role to like straight deadpan serious thing.
Yeah, that was I think, the fact too that she kind of had a realization that he was right.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know if she ever, like, she may have thought of that before. She might have been like nervous or apprehensive about her sister having the baby and like wondering like, is she gonna have time for me or whatever. But I don't think it's something that she admitted to herself really. So when he said that it was a realization for her, but it also was a moment where they could finally relate to each other.
Yeah. Because they are kind of like a movable object versus unstoppable force the whole time. So that relatability realization was kind of a pivotal moment in the storyline.
And also, wasn't that the same moment that he told her, like, because she was kind of like, oh, I thought I was imagining things that like you arranged for that doc thing. Like, she's like, am I crazy? And then he was like, well, I did hear that. I did hear you talk about me or something. Like, I didn't think he was going to tell her that he heard what she said about him.
I thought they were on good terms after that, so I don't know if maybe was prior to the alligator scene.
That was before the
That's what it
alligator
was?
scene. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
like immediate. Well, immediately preceding it, because she got upset and runs off to the dock or whatever, and then he's wind up fighting him in the water.
Yeah, I don't remember what order that was, but yeah, I was kind of surprised. Like, I thought he was just going to keep it to himself. Like, I was kind of surprised when he said that he had heard, because that kind of takes a good amount of balls to confront someone that you don't really know about something like that. I don't think I could.
That a lot. So you say that a lot. You say that a lot. It takes a lot of balls to confront someone.
It does. I'm a very non-confrontational person, though. That's probably why.
It depends on how high the transgression is for me.
But like, especially for someone you don't know or know very well, like I'm not sure if it's harder if you don't know someone or if you know someone very well.
It's all the situation for me.
Yeah.
F me over hard enough, and I'll be your worst enemy. So I guess as far as reveals of negative emotions, there's also another realization at the end where Margot and her mother do not have a good relationship. They do not have a good, like, she doesn't understand her move out to LA to work in TV, and Margot doesn't understand why she doesn't come out to visit her, and they kind of have this moment where they realize that it's kind of both their faults why their relationship doesn't work. And then the mother, who you kind of don't really feel bad for the whole movie.
No.
But then you start to feel bad for her in that moment because she reveals to Margot that the Margot and Nev have these amazing memories of this island because it was their grandmother's house or whatever. And their mother hates the island because the grandmother always made her feel inadequate. So all of a sudden, this realization of, why don't you come out to visit me? Why don't you take pride in my career? That sort of thing makes the mother feel like she has almost betrayed her daughter, and it's like, oh my god, I'm making the same mistakes that my mother made with me.
Right, which is a pretty common thing, as far as family dynamics go. Like it's a common thing to repeat the same mistakes, but at least people being aware of it is kind of the first step in the right direction.
And to become aware of it before, Father Time shows no mercy to any of us.
Right. Yeah, obviously it would be better if you didn't repeat the mistake at all, but it's like you can't say, what if we didn't have that like hard period of time where you were rough on me because your mom or dad was rough on you. You can't really think about it that way.
You're never too old. You're never too old until you're half in the grave.
Yeah.
So, bonus topics. Let's talk some things that we kind of like, some kind of extra tidbits that don't really fit into either of these topics, but they're still kind of worth talking about. One thing we have a semi-consistent track record of talking about is familiar faces. So, what were kind of some cameos? The big one I thought was Nev is our.
Yeah.
I guess this is her third work that we've talked about.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was in Bad Monkey, and then she had that bit role in Shrinking.
That's what it was.
Yeah. So I guess that one's the first one, and I'm getting to the point where like the image of the actress is being softened now because Eve was such a terrible person, and now having two kind of softer roles, I'm kind of like I don't see the I don't see the actress on screen anymore and have an instant, hatred or negative connotation towards her.
Yeah, and I looked up the actress, and one thing that was like mind-blowing or crazy to me is that Nev is like pretty much my same exact age. She's actually a few months younger than me. And I don't know, you think of these actors and actresses as being so much older than you. So like when you find out that they're the same age, it's really odd. I don't feel like I am the same age as her.
Glad you're not a sports fan, because when you see players getting drafted and they're like 21 years old and you're pushing 40, you're like, oh geez, what did I do wrong with my life? They're a multi-millionaire before they can even drink.
I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't know if you see those stupid like BuzzFeed articles. It'll be like, here are two stars that are the same age. Like it's like Adele and like Ariana Grande. I'm just making this up. Like, but it's like one of them you
that
see
would
as
blow
being
my mind.
Yes, no. I don't think they're that far apart in age, but like you'll see things like that where it's like stars that are the same age, but you're just like, wait, that one seems so much more mature. That one seems like, or like looks really young. That one looks really old. So it's so just mind blowing to me because I see Nev, I forget what the actress's name is, but I thought that she was like maybe like 40, early 40s.
I thought she was younger. I thought.
Really?
I figured. Yeah, I figured. She's kind of got like a baby face. So I figured she was between 28 and 33, maybe.
It's kind of interesting because, Reese Witherspoon, I think, is 48 or 49. So the fact
She's not
that like
old. She's been around forever, but she's not that old.
yeah, like it's kind of jarring. And the fact that, if that actress is 10 years younger and potentially is supposed to play a younger character. Like there's quite an age gap between those two characters.
10 years. Well, I mean, Nev felt like the baby sister.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's and the other two siblings felt like they were older than Margot. So I mean, that didn't really necessarily throw me off too much. Even if I think of like a real life age context, like I could see them kind of being maybe not 10 years, but maybe like 7, 5, 6, as far as the roles were concerned. So that's not that far off.
I know. I guess before we had IMDb and things like that to know how old someone is in a movie, I guess like you were just at the mercy of whatever this character or whatever this actor is cast to play. You're like, oh, that's believable, or it's not.
Damn the internet. Damn the internet. Another one. I know you're not a sports person, but I'm a Colts fan, so seeing Peyton Manning in a cameo always kind of warms my heart a little bit.
Like, did you think that, like, obviously I know who he is, like, I know who, like, both the Manning brothers are on sight, like, I know who they are, but, I mean, like, was seeing him in that scene, or, like, you know, the cut scene at the end, like, was that, like, especially funny for you, or you were just kind of like, oh, it's Peyton Manning?
Well, because I mean he was always such like a robotic player. To see him when he does his commercials, he has such a he wants such a more of a personality. Like when he does the Allstate commercials with oh shoot, not Jason. It's not Jason Aldean. Not Zach Bryan. Brett Paisley.
Yes,
Brett
yes.
Paisley. Yeah, when he's doing
The
the Allstate
sellout.
commercials. Yeah, the sellout. Yeah, yeah. When he's doing those commercials with Brad Paisley, like he kind of is more silly. When he did the Papa John's commercials, that he was very silly. So it's such like a stark contrast, and then for him to be like this monotone, deadpan, minute cameo, and I do mean minute cameo. I mean he was barely in the movie. That was just them. Hey, here. That was basically them just saying, "Hey, please take this check and show your face in our film." It was just
There was
kind
a
of
couple of those.
yeah, it
A
was just
couple
kind
of
of
those
like
real quick cameos. Like there was Peyton Manning, there was Wyatt Russell, who is Kurt Russell's son. He was one of the Masked singers in one part. I think he takes off the mask and it's like it revealed, like, I don't know if it was at the end. They had like a scene of like Margot getting back to work with the whatever the name of the show is. That's a ripoff of Masked Singer. So yeah, Wyatt Russell showed up for a second, and then Fortune Feimster, she's a comedian. She's actually pretty funny. She really didn't have a big part at all, because but the little that she was in, like, she was a little bit funny, but she was the driver of the boat.
yeah. When she crashes into the dock, yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, I think the first scene when she drives them and drops them off at the island, like she has a funny little moment, but like she was hardly in it. She didn't have a lot of screen time.
Yeah, that's I didn't even know that Kurt Russell's son was in acting, let alone be able to recognize him in anything. So that one went right over my head.
Yeah. Yeah, you've probably seen him in things. I am blanking of where he was from. Wasn't there a Captain America show that he was in?
I don't remember a Captain America show. Certainly
Was
not
it a Captain America show, or was it a movie?
Certainly not in any time frame that Kurt
No.
Russell's son would have been able to act in it.
It must have been the last Captain America movie, which could be as much as 5 years ago at this point.
More.
I think he played a bad guy. But he's been in other stuff. You'd probably, if you saw his face, you'd be like, "Oh, that guy." Like he kind of looks like a few people.
I probably think he was someone else then.
Probably. Yeah.
I gotta ask the alligator scenes in the lake and in the bed. Were you expecting Will Ferrell to drop a Gator don't take no shit?
I wasn't really, but I did think it's funny. Like, it's not, I guess it's not a Will Ferrell movie unless he's fighting an animal, like, you know, the raccoon scene in Elf. So I did think that was really funny. You know, obviously it was a little bit predictable, like when he says, "See you later, alligator," and he throws it out the window. But I was like laughing out loud when he was like struggling with it, and I think Margot is telling him, she's like, I don't remember what she's telling him, but she's kind of like suggesting things to try or to like subdue the alligator. And he's like trying, and he's trying to listen to what she's saying. And he's just like struggling, and he goes, "Oh, so much torque." Like,
So much torque, yeah.
I was dying at that part. It was pretty funny.
Envisioning fighting an alligator like using a ratchet wrench. A ratchet
Yeah, and like,
screwdriver.
you know, obviously the alligator was like pretty fake, you know. But
Yeah.
that's kind of what makes it funny.
It looked like the stuffed TikTok crocodile from Hook.
Yeah. So there were two people who made the movie for me, and I don't know if you would agree with this or if you would say you had different favorites, but there were two very minor characters who like absolutely made the movie. Like, everything they said was hilarious. So one was, I don't know if they actually say who she was, if she was like a cousin or an aunt or something. She was on Margot and Nev's side of the family. And she was the one who kept mentioning that she's like, "I'm married, but if I weren't, then I'd be all over this guy." Like, talking about
That's their
Jim.
sister.
That's the sister?
Yeah, because they're four siblings. There was the son.
Was there one
the
brother?
Yeah, there was one brother, and he was one with all the kids, and then there was the older sister. Kept saying about like how she regretted her marriage or her husband or whatever, and then there were the two main ones.
I must have missed that part, but she just, all of her asides, and like, you know, it's the things that they say, but it's like also the things they don't say, like that they're just doing in the background in the scene. She was hilarious, that lady. And that was kind of an equivalent to Step Brothers. Remember Adam Scott in Step Brothers? He plays like the douchey brother. And
yeah.
and he's got the wife that's played by, what's that lady's name? Agatha from that Disney show. I can't think of what the actress's name is.
From the Disney show.
She was in like WandaVision and the Agatha show. But she was just this really outrageous, like, and I think she was wasn't she making moves on was that Will Ferrell or John C. Reilly? She was like hitting on. Oh my God, Step Brothers is the best. You need to watch Step Brothers. There's Step Brothers.
I've seen it. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I own it.
I know there's so many lines in Step Brothers. Like, I would watch it, and every time you watch it, you see another, or you hear another line that you're like, I did not know that somebody said that. Like, you kind of pick up new things. There's so many different things, but yeah, she was the Margot and Nev's sister. She was so similar to Adam Scott's wife in Step Brothers that I really drew the parallel between that. So she was my favorite, but I also loved Leslie, who is Jack McBrayer from 30 Rock. I don't know if you watched it.
I didn't watch 30 Rock. I know the guy's face though. I feel like I've seen him everywhere, and I'm going through his filmography. I'm like, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that. And I was like, this guy, he just must be one of those working actors you just see all the time. You know who he is, but
I don't think he always kind of plays a funny little character. Like, I don't know that he's ever been a lead in anything. Yeah, but he just made it for me. Just the subtle things that he did, like when Margot walks up and she's drinking, she ends up getting wasted because she's drinking the wine from Nev, taking it away from her. And so they're kind of like having this little fight, Nev and Margot, and Leslie comes along to give another wine glass to Nev, and Margot's like, she's pregnant, don't you dare give her that, or something. And then he goes to take,
said not to keep their glasses empty.
yeah. So I think he like goes to, and she's like grabbing for the wine glass or something, and he goes to take it away from Nev, and he's just like, oh, no, like, we can't have this, like, you're pregnant. Just the way that he said it was so funny.
And then the other scene that the first one I thought of with him was at the end when they're trying to figure, we got to save Jenny and Oliver, and he comes out like, well, here's the bill. I need someone to figure out how you're going to shore this up. And like, no, we've got a marriage to save, and they just run off. Who's driving? And he's just sitting there like, just paying for the wedding.
I know, he's always like the part when they Margot thinks she saw Oliver kissing one of the bridesmaids or something, and then she communicates it to Jim, who just like, and then he says he creates this whole thing, and then so obviously with Jenny and Oliver being like immature, they're like pissing each other off by like, kissing people in the crowd. And then at one point, I think Jenny kisses Leslie, and then Oliver like is all angry about it, and he's like, yeah, she even kissed the what's the name of, not like the wedding planner, I don't remember what they called him. She's like, she even kissed that guy, and he's freaking weird, or like, and then like you see Leslie sitting there, and he's just like, what?
Yeah, what did I do?
Yeah, he was just hilarious.
Another minor character that they got pissed on a lot was Margot's second in command on her TV shows.
Yes.
And he winds up at the house, and he gets dragged to this wedding, and he's like, I produce TV. What am I doing at this wedding? And then, of course, at the end, when they're all one big happy family and they're taking a big family photo, it's like, and he's okay. He gets Spanning. He's like, all right, here we go. I love spending Thanksgiving with your family and not mine. Which I mean, that was kind of a real life moment to me, because when you work at TV, a holiday is just another day. So like that was kind of a real moment to me. But I thought he was just like the timing of his couple. He didn't have a lot of lines, but the timing of his lines was perfect.
Yeah, he had
TV. Why am I here?
Yeah, he was kind of like consistently thrown in, and he's like why am I here? Like questioning why he was even there.
All right, the big question, was this movie worth it?
I would argue yes. To be fair though, for me, it kind of, I felt like I started getting distracted in the last like half hour, maybe 20 minutes. It was a runtime of like 1 hour, 50 minutes. I don't think it really needed to be that long. I think it could have been
for a comedy.
It could have been trimmed a little bit. It could have been trimmed by 15 or 20 minutes in my opinion. But overall, like I didn't, the credits came on. I found myself, I'm like, I want to see if they did like a gag reel. I want to see like, what they do in the credits. And all I saw was Reese Witherspoon's awful singing. But I did find it enjoyable. Like I never at any point was watching it, or when it was over, was I thinking like, wow, that was a 2-hour waste of my time, because that has happened a lot with movies with me in the past.
And I didn't feel like that either. And it's funny that you thought her singing was awful, because she's not a singer. So taking that into account, I didn't think she did that half bad a job, considering that's not her thing.
She sang in the I'm pretty sure she sang when she played Johnny Cash's wife in Walk the Line, and also the Sing movies, which my nephews are a big fan of, the animated movies, Sing 1 and Sing 2. She does sing in that. There's a couple actors and actresses who sing in that, like who don't normally sing. And she's one of them. I guess you could argue that like she's not like out of tune or anything. It's kind of like JLo where she has like kind of a weak voice, and like she does this like weird like whoa like I don't know. It's like I don't know.
Judgy, God, don't put you on freaking The Voice. You'll be worse than Simon. All right, I gotta get past that. I when it cut, actually, it's interesting to me that you found the end of the movie, the part that dragged, because I found like the it kind of it kind of felt like it dragged a little bit up to that. Like it was just kind of like,
Really?
okay, I'm laughing. Well, it's kind of like, okay, I'm laughing. Okay, I'm laughing. Okay, I'm following the story because there was actually a story. It wasn't just a pointless comedy. Um, but like I felt like things started, the pace started to pick up a lot more towards the end between the Gator fight, uh, Dixon's little unnecessary medical treatment, then Jenny running off, and Jim can't find her, and then he goes off with Margot's whole family in tow trying to find her, and then of course the big climax, which I feel like you thought that they were going to wind up together, but it didn't feel like they were going to wind up together. So it kind of felt like, to me, the end of the movie, everything kind of happened at a very quick pace.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like there was towards the end is where the most of the unnecessary stuff was. Like, although I do agree that in like trying to think if that was the first half hour or so before the first hour where like even the part where they were singing Islands in the Stream or something, I was like, they kept saying like, oh, well, tomorrow. And I'm like, wait, isn't this the wedding? Like, I was just confused because there must have been like a rehearsal dinner or something too. I was just like, well,
I think that's what Islands was. I think Islands was at the rehearsal dinner.
yeah. So I thought that a couple things like were the wedding already. And then like, it was just stuff before the wedding. So I was kind of like, they should have just like cut straight to the chase maybe, or I don't know. Some of that was a little bit, I don't know. And the Islands in the Stream part was like funny and all, but I feel like it's been done before.
Yeah, it had that feeling. I don't think it's been done to that song.
Not to that song, but what it makes me think of is Arrested Development. There's a scene where George Michael, who is Michael Cera, he is singing karaoke with Ellen's wife, Portia. I forget Lindsay, his aunt. So he's singing "Afternoon Delight" like in karaoke with his aunt, and people are watching, and they're like,
creepy.
I swear somebody makes a comment about it being creepy, or like, do they not know what that song is about or something like that? So I did feel like it was kind of like, I don't want to say predictable, but I do feel like there were a couple like, kind of like, okay, this has been done in comedy before. Like, this is just like another take on it. Like, it's not like it's a tired joke, but like that kind of feeling a little bit.
I feel like I remember that scene from Arrested Development, but it's been so long since I saw it. If you hadn't mentioned it, it would have been lost in the ether.
And that was 20 years ago. So it's just, I don't know, just the fact that that's been done before. It's kind of well in the past. Like, I'm sure it's been done other times besides that. So yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of like, yes, it was still like a little bit funny, but I just was kind of like, it just seems like a lazy move as far as comedy writing goes,
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed this. I didn't think it stacked up to Will Ferrell's classics, whether it's Step Brothers, whether it's the other guys. I'm not the biggest Elf fan in the world.
I love Elf.
Old school. Like, I didn't think
Old school is pretty solid.
Oh yeah. I didn't think it stacked up to any of those, but I didn't feel like it was a waste of time.
No.
I kind of liked that it had it actually had a general story. It wasn't just slapstick. There was a little bit of heart to it. Maybe it's just the fact that Reese and Will are getting older now, so that we don't necessarily need to see the slapstick all the time, or the ditzy blonde moments. So it kind of felt like it was a complete film, even if I do agree that it was probably a little bit too long.
It was too long, but one thing I will say about it is it was entertaining. Like, I don't regret it at all, but I would give a compliment to the writers or the director or whatever, just say that it was nice to be entertained by something and to have something that was cute and had some heart, but also was pretty laugh out loud funny. But for also it not to be like raunchy and over the top, because, it's just, we're so desensitized to things these days that it's just like, you could just have crazy nudity. There was like no nudity in this. There was no nudity. Like, obviously they said the F word multiple times, but it wasn't like filthy and raunchy, which was great, like, to see, because it's just, sometimes it's just, there's all these things for shock value, and there wasn't any of that in that movie.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't feel, and there were not any eye roll moments either.
There was one partial eye roll moment for me, and that was when the bridesmaids were like, "You can't call a woman lady. That's like, kind of like some feminist bullshit."
Yeah.
I kind of rolled my eye, like half rolled my eyes.
They're young women in the contemporary era, so I kind of just assumed that they would be like that. So it kind of, I remember the scene you're talking about, but it kind of like went in one ear and out the other, because it's like, well, of course they're gonna say that. They're what, 22 years old?
Yeah, at least they didn't harp on it too much, and it wasn't a constant theme in the movie. Like, they did make a reference to the lady thing twice, but like, it was just a little bit of a callback. Like, I didn't think of it like, oh God, here they're going again with this. It wasn't annoying, and it didn't keep coming up, and they weren't harping on it. So like I said, it was a half eye roll. I was just like, meh. Like, I kind of just rolled off my back,
Hopefully no one says any about us or does any eye rolls with our show. Please give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you enjoy our banter and reviews, and let us know what you think of each episode. Questions and comments, email us red real reviews, that is N, not and real spelled with 2 E's, real reviews at gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts if you want to write a longer blurb than what Spotify might allow you to. Follow along with us on social media. She is Binge the Ginge. That is dots between the words on Instagram and all one word on TikTok, or at least as long as TikTok exists. And I am Nutmeg 2 Palmetto. That is the number 2 on both platforms. As always, video-wise, if you want the Ginger greatness, YouTube and Rumble, or if you're on the go, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Next up, finally, the end of Cobra Kai. And if it feels like it was a while ago, that's because we reviewed part 1 of season 6 in freaking July. So it has been a while. So hang tight for a couple weeks. Enjoy that and catch up on the other 2 parts if you hadn't yet for some reason you're living under a rock. And after that, we're going to be doing the whole live thing. It's still awards season. We'll do a reaction to the SAGs and a reaction to the big show, the Oscars. Until all those next real reviews, Red and Red are signing out.
In less than an hour, aircraft from here will join others from around the world.
Don't act so surprised, Your Highness.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
What? Do what?
No. Try not. Do. Or do not.
Because I don't want no scrubs.
Let the dogs out, like, who let the dogs out? Who?
Who brought this guy along?
I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chum some of this shit.
One more thing. Do me a favor. Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Mankind, that word should have new meaning for all of us today.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
I'll take care, all right? None but love for you. None but love for you.
have any clue what's about to happen to him?
Oh, not a chance in hell. Good night.
Reese! Fire, you son of a...
You did it. You crazy son of a bitch, you did it.
Not funny anymore.
TLC references. Still nothing, I swear to you.
But as the day when the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night, we will not vanish without a fight, we're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.